If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, how are you all doing this evening? It is December 9th. It's Sunday, and it's 7:39 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone is doing well. I took last night off. I have been grappling with a few things and really wanted to take that time to delve into some things that I was wondering about myself, and hopefully I'll be able to bring that to you in a future video. But for tonight, what we're going to be doing is looking at the Q-related news. There are no Q posts for today, but there is plenty of Q-related news. And I don't know about you, but it's getting it's getting exciting, but also slightly terrifying. I don't know if you can relate to how I feel, but that is what I'm feeling. Both excitement and a little bit of trepidation, I guess might be a better word, because I'm seeing this stuff coming together, and it's quite amazing, and I don't know how else to put it. Anyway, I'd like to know how you guys are feeling about all this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff coming out right now, and there's a lot of stuff happening. It's almost too much to keep up with. So I really would like to know how you guys are feeling about it as well. But let's just jump right into the news. There's a lot, and as usual, what I've done is I've just kind of combed through different sites, Twitter and different news sites and so forth, and I've kind of pulled out things that I think that you might be interested in, or that because you are awake that you should be aware of, or whatever. So that is what I've done. It's in no particular order, so we're just going to start and dive right in. And we're going to start with this first one here. And some of this I put together yesterday, so I can't remember what all of this is. Now this is interesting. And I really have a great deal of respect for In the Matrix, and you can find them on Twitter, In the Matrix, at In the Matrix, and they have amazing stuff. They do really good research, and I really recommend them. Anyway, this is their Twitter account, and here they're saying, and I'm thinking that the one that I was referencing was up a little further, but I could be wrong. Maybe not. Okay, it says, truss, control through a giant truss system that was set up in the 1870s. It took the Pessoa family from 1830 to 1870. Now, okay, maybe this is not a good thing for me to jump into right now, because we really haven't gotten into the whole Pessoa thing yet, and that is one of the things that I was looking into yesterday, because I do believe that as Q has pointed out, it is the Pessoa family that is at the very, very, very top of the pyramid. That is the apex of the triangle. The New World Order triangle is the Pessoa family, and I'm just discovering how much they are involved and how much they own and how powerful they really are. And to tell you the truth, before Q, I'd never heard that name before. I don't know about you guys, but that is what this thread is about. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this thread, because I think I'm going to do another video on the Pessoas at another time, and just put all the material in there for you at that time. So that will be hopefully coming really soon, but it's something that we need to know, because remember when we were wondering, and now this would have been, gosh, the better part of a year ago, remember when Q put the P in a kill box and everyone assumed that was the Pope? Well, it's not. And Q pretty much confirmed that it is on pace to believe that this, the one that rules the top, the one that will be the last to fall, will be the Pessoa family. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff there. Probably, if I know you guys, you've probably been already digging into this and are well versed in it. But at any rate, we will come back to that. Now, this I pulled from Twitter, and I liked it because Jacob Wall said Bill Clinton paid $800,000 to a woman he raped. The money was loaned to him by Mark Rich, an international criminal wanted by U.S. authorities. Clinton then pardoned Mark rich. Well, that is par for the course for the deep state, right? And Mindy Robinson replied and said, you can tell by the comments here that the NPCs don't care about the awful things Clinton did. They'd rather be angry about what Trump puts on his steak. That is the truth. Everything that Trump does is wrong according to the deep state and according to the left. Everything that he does is wrong, but yet the Obamas or the Clintons or the Bushes or whoever can do the same thing 1,000 times worse, but nothing's ever said to them. Nothing's ever said to them. Nobody cares about the crimes that the Clintons have committed and the body count. They don't care about what the Obamas have done. They don't care about selling weapons. They don't care about the Benghazi. What they care about is that Trump, is orange. That's what they care about. Seriously. Anyway, let's get down to here and see what we have here. I think I know what this is. All right. This is interesting. She's not even taken office yet. Criminal Act, Democrat Ocasio-Cortez broke 42nd U.S. Code 1983 by threatening Donald Trump Jr. with retaliation over snarky meme. Yes, you can't use your position to threaten somebody because they sent you a meme you didn't like. Maybe somebody should tell Miss Ocasio-Cortez that, but I don't think she'd probably get it because she still thinks that we can give out free health care and free tuition and free everything, and she doesn't have to explain how it's going to be paid for. She just says, well, you just pay for it. Okay, well, let's see how that works out. I wonder what she'll feel, how she'll feel when she went from 30,000, making 30,000 last year to this year, with her new position, she'll be pulling in 174,000. Wonder what she's going to feel like when a big chunk of that is taken for taxes. Maybe then it might clue her in that, gee, somebody is paying for this. All right. Says on Friday, Donald Trump Jr. mocked dim-witted socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Instagram with a popular meme that is going around social media. Ocasio-Cortez, why are you so afraid of a socialist economy? President Trump, because Americans want to walk their dogs, not eat them. Now, I think that's funny. I don't care who you are. I think it's funny, and it's true. Because, you know something, at the end of World War II, and this is a fact, I've studied World War II extensively. I don't know why, I was just extremely interested in it. But there wasn't a songbird in all of Europe. And you know why? The people were so hungry, they ate them. You couldn't find a songbird. And the same thing with dogs and cats and everything else. When you're starving to death, you eat what you can, and that's exactly what's happening in Venezuela. Although our media doesn't want to tell us that, that is what's happening. So, yeah, we want to walk our dogs, not eat them. Absolutely. And, it says, of course it's pretty funny because it's true. It is true. There's always truth in humor. That's what makes it so funny, right? So here's her response. I have noticed that Junior here has a habit of posting nonsense about me whenever the Mueller investigation heats up. Please keep it coming, Junior. It's definitely a very, very large brain idea to troll a member of a body that will have subpoena power in a month. Have fun. So she's threatening. She's threatening him. Like she thinks she has more power than him. Really. She's not too swift. And then she says, have fun. No, Alexandria, you have fun. For the GOP crying that this is a threat, I don't have power to subpoena anybody. Congress as a body, GOP included, has the power. No individual member can issue a subpoena unless they are a chair, which, as a freshman, I can assure you I will not be. Also, must be under purview. And that was her response as of yesterday. It appears Ocasio-Cortez broke federal law by threatening a U.S. citizen with retaliation for snarky tweets. Well, let me tell you, if someone could be threatened by a snarky tweet, it would be me above all people, because let me tell you, I am the queen of snarky tweets. Yes, yes, I am. You can't use the power of the law to get back at people for their Instagram memes, Alexandria. According to 42nd U.S. Code 1983, civil action for deprivation of rights, every person who, under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state or territory of the District of Columbia, subjects or causes to be subjected any citizen of the United States or other person within the jurisdiction thereof to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and laws, shall be liable to the party injured in an action at law, suit in equity, or other proper proceedings for redress, except that in any action brought against a judicial officer for an act or omission taken in such officer's judicial capacity, injunctive relief shall not be granted unless a declaratory decree was violated or declaratory relief was unavailable. For the purpose of this section, any act of Congress applicable exclusively to the District of Columbia shall be considered to be a statute of the District of Columbia. So I don't know, that's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo to me, but apparently she violated that. Now, some of you people, and I know that we have at least one person that is well versed in law here, maybe they could explain it better, what exactly she did. She obviously broke this. You can't just threaten a U.S. citizen because they sent you a snarky tweet, because if you could, then I am quite sure that Hillary Clinton would be threatening me because, as I said, I'm the queen of snarky tweets. So anyway, there you have that bit of ridiculousness, and let's go on. Alrighty, let's see what we have here. Shall we? Oh, yes. I want you to hear this. The Benghazi stand-down order was given by Obama and Hillary to cover up evidence of Stinger missiles illegally sold to Afghanistan, then used on Americans. Now, this guy, who I'm going to give sound to in a minute, really puts this succinctly. So if you never really got what Benghazi was all about, this is good, because he puts it very succinctly in a very short amount of words. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Permission.
Let's go back.
Behind Bergdahl's release. Bergdahl was released in exchange for 5 Taliban generals in order to cover up the Obama-Hillary Stinger missile sales to Libya. So here's the real story. Ambassador Stevens was sent to Benghazi to secretly retrieve U.S.-made Stinger missiles that the State Department had supplied to Ansar al-Sharia in Libya without congressional oversight or permission. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had brokered the Libya deal through Ambassador Stevens and a private arms dealer named Mark Turi. But some of the shoulder-fired Stinger missiles ended up in Afghanistan, where they were used against our own military. On July 25, 2012, a U.S. Chinook helicopter was downed by one of them. Not destroyed only because the idiot Taliban didn't arm the missile. The helicopter didn't explode, but it had to land, and an ordnance disposal team recovered the missile serial number, which led back to a cache of Stinger missiles kept in Qatar by the CIA. Obama and Hillary were in full panic mode, so Ambassador Stevens was sent to Benghazi to retrieve the rest of the Stinger missiles. This was a do-or-die mission, which explains the stand-down orders given to multiple rescue teams during the siege of the U.S. Embassy. It was not the State Department, not the CIA, that supplied the Stinger missiles to our sworn enemies, because General Petraeus at CIA would not approve supplying the deadly missiles due to their potential use against commercial aircraft. So then, Obama threw General Petraeus under the bus when he refused to testify in support of Obama's phony claim that a spontaneous uprising caused by a YouTube video that insulted Muslims. Obama and Hillary committed treason. This is what the investigation is all about. Why she had a private server in order to delete the digital evidence.
Yeah, and this is very, very succinctly well put. This is deep state exposed. I would again suggest this person as well. If you're on Twitter and you're wanting information and you want to stay abreast of everything that's going on, these are some people that I follow that I trust. And so anyway, I thought that that was very good, and I thought that for those of you that may not understand exactly what happened in Benghazi and what the big deal is, that's it. So let's go back to here. And I think I'm going to skip this about Michael Cohen because I don't want to hear any more about Russian collusion. And this is interesting. Not surprising, just interesting. I bet you we already knew this, but it's always nice to have it confirmed. UN, EU, and Soros provide migrants with prepaid debit cards to fund their trip to and through Europe. We know that this is a big aim of the UN and the globalists, they're just using migrants as a tool to cause destabilization, and it's working, right? Because what's happening is they've taken a group of people who do not and will not assimilate, and they've flooded these countries that all have very distinct culture. Italy, France, all these countries have their own distinct culture, and the UK, which isn't a country, but you know what I'm saying. They've flooded these places with these migrants, and they're trying to do here. They're certainly doing it in Canada right now. And these countries, they've had it. They're absolutely fed up. Hence, all of the uprising in France, which is not being shown on the mainstream media. If that's not news, I don't know what is, but they're not showing that. And you know why they're not showing it? Because a lot of those people are chanting for Trump. We want Trump. We want Trump. They're holding up Q signs. You don't see any of that. You'll never hear that on mainstream media. But this has been the plan for a very long time, to flood these nations, to open up the borders so that the nations are flooded with immigrants, which brings down the standard of living for everyone. And that's the plan. That's destabilization, because you see, you can't bring in a new world order when you've got one country that has a very high standard of living, and then you've got another one with a very low standard of living. You can't unite a world like that. They're trying to equalize everyone. They're trying to bring those with the high standard of living down, hence flooding them with immigrants and migrants. And they want to bring the poor countries up. So that is what's happening, and that's what their plan has been all along. That's the whole plan with the caravan. It's to bring instability. But the UN, EU, and Soros provide these migrants. They're paying them. They're paying them to flood these countries. Yeah. So there you go. There's an example of one of the cards, and how illegal migrants cope financially during their long journeys to and through Europe has been revealed by the Slovenian site Nova24. According to the site, UNHCR and the EU, in cooperation with MasterCard and Soros, generously hand out prepaid debit cards to the migrants. The cards are equipped with both EU and UNHCR logos. No identity documents are required to obtain or use the cards, so they don't care if you've been an ISIS fighter and you've taken girls as sex slaves, or killed Christian villages and pillaged whatever you've done. They don't care. They're going to give you a card anyway. And it's quite unnerving, really. And I'm not saying that these people, some of them are genuinely fleeing bad situations. But wouldn't it be better to send the money there to help their countries instead of taking them out of their countries, paying them to invade other countries and pull down their standard of living and, destabilize them? Wouldn't that make more sense? Well, no, not in their plans. No. So anyway, according to Nova 24, the information comes from a source within the Croatian police, which states that the migrants are well equipped with newly purchased high-quality boots, hiking clothes, smartphones, and even weapons. That's right, weapons. And we saw this with the caravan, because there are these people that they're saying, oh, these poor people, they're starving and they don't have jobs, and they're fleeing from their governments and whatever, but they've got $1,000 smartphone. They've got iPhones. Please tell me, how many really poor people do you know with iPhones? Well, I'm just saying. Anyway, so during the stopover in the Eastern European countries, they withdraw cash from ATMs to stock up on supplies. MasterCard announced in 2016 that they issued prepaid debit cards to give refugees mobility, flexibility, and dignity. Well, why don't they give some dignity to the homeless people in California? I bet those people would like some mobility, flexibility, and dignity. What about that? Why isn't anybody giving them MasterCards? Just wondering. They're sleeping on the streets. They truly are poor. They're pooping in the streets. Don't you think it might be important to give them a place to call home, place that they can lay their heads, make them feel a little bit more dignified, let them have a shower? No, apparently not. In a press release last year, MasterCard also announced a cooperation with George Soros with the aim, I'm getting rid of my MasterCard. I'm just telling you that right now. I don't use it that much. If I don't have cash for something, I don't buy it. But not doing business with MasterCard anymore. Also announced a cooperation with George Soros with the aim to catalyze and accelerate economic and social development for vulnerable groups in the world, especially refugees and migrants. Well, you know what? There's a whole lot more vulnerable groups in the world, including the homeless, and there are a lot of children being raised in poverty in the U.S. that need proper nutrition. Why don't we... And I know that this is not us helping them, it's Soros, but Soros is in the U.S. Why doesn't he help the country that he's living in, that is hosting him? In fact, why is he even here? I don't understand that at all. But maybe somebody else can explain that to me, because I don't get it. All right, let's go back. While I try to get in a better mood. Things like that really bother me. Again, migration is something that is near and dear to my heart, because for reasons that you already know. All right. Now, here is one of these fine, upstanding refugees. And what did he do? Well, he beat a praying priest to death with a metal cross in Germany. Yes, that's what he did. Lois Sinbad, a 27-year-old asylum seeker from Cameroon, admitted to killing the 54-year-old pastor, Alan Forent Gandolo, who is from the Congo himself, during prayer in Berlin on the 22nd of February. Now, this is an old article, but I still thought it was worth reading. This is just being reported in December, but this is from way back in February. The perpetrator entered Germany as a refugee in 2014 and claims to be a Christian, but believes in witchcraft and ghosts. According to the story, a ghost that had already possessed his brother, who also lives in Germany, supposedly had taken over his body. Frightened by this, he sought help from his victim. Allegedly, the pastor did not defend himself, but only called for help in German during the deadly assault. Following the arrest, Lois Sinbad has been placed in a closed psychiatric institution. But what he did to this man was awful, because he not only beat him to death, he shoved an umbrella down his throat, and the man died actually from head trauma. So just horrendous. Now, of course, we know that not every refugee is going to be committing violent crimes, but we do see it a lot. And the countries where they're migrating to, the crime rate is rising exponentially. Now, the media won't tell us that. They don't want to tell us that, but it's true. All right, now let's go back, see what other trouble we can get into. Oh yes, and this, I'm not going to go out to this, but a Muslim student stabbed a professor to death in Paris because he thought that this professor had insulted the Prophet Muhammad. So I guess that is now a reason enough to murder somebody. And Okay, that is the same thing. Let's get rid of this so we'll know we've looked at it already. And then there's this. How sad, these students are forced to kneel with their hands on their heads or tied behind their backs. This video has gone viral in France. How does this happen? Now, I'm going to show you something and you tell me how you'd react if this was happening at your child's school. This was just a normal school in France and these students were protesting. So let's go back and look at the beginning. Here we go. 153 high school kids collectively arrested by French police in the town of Valforey, just outside of Paris. Now, look at these kids kneeling with their hands on their heads. And some are being forced to kneel against the wall. Now, you tell me those students that it never entered their head that they might get shot. Now, they weren't, but really, they're just kids. They're high school kids. They're being asked to kneel with their hands behind their head. Some of them are kneeling up against a wall. You can't tell me that those kids never at one moment believed they were going to get shot. Because I bet you some of them did. Maybe not all of them, but I bet you some of them did. And I think this is horrific. It's horrific. What would happen if this happened in the United States? Oh, there'd be riots, all right. Absolutely there would be. Let's go on here. So apparently now, the students that had watched that video are now all kneeling as a part of this protest, which, is perfectly peaceful. They're not doing anything they're not entitled to do. But it's increasingly brutal how, the police are reacting to these protests. And a lot of them aren't even French police. They're UN soldiers. And they're coming in. I saw today where one girl had her eye shot out by a rubber bullet. And there was one guy who was standing in front of a line of police. He was standing there. He had his hands down by his side. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't have a rock or a bottle or anything else. And they shot him with a rubber bullet. But those things hurt. You could tell by his reaction how much it really hurt him. So rubber bullets, just because they're rubber doesn't mean they don't hurt. And they can, if you hit a person in the right place, you can kill somebody with a rubber bullet. You sure can. So anyway, let's go. Now, I thought that you guys might find this very, very, very interesting. It's kind of out of the vein that we've been looking at with migration, but I think it's time that we got off that subject anyway. Look at this. Spy secrets. Truth about CIA's illegal MK-Ultra mind control experiments using drugs, hypnosis, and electronic devices revealed in sensational new documents officials had hid for decades. Well, what is this? We know this stuff, but it's interesting that it's coming out. This came out yesterday in the news. Actually, what's today, the 9th? It came out 2 days ago, forgive me. And the records rewrite the history of the CIA's covert and illegal MK-Ultra project, according to researcher John Greenwald Jr., who spent almost 20 years trying to obtain the documents. Pretty fascinating stuff, people. Not anything that we don't know, really, but it's interesting when we start seeing this stuff in the mainstream media. It's interesting. You know that times are changing when you start seeing this stuff in the mainstream. We haven't in our mainstream media yet, but it's coming. Disturbing details of secret mind control experiments carried out by the CIA have been revealed in newly released documents that officials have been trying to hide for decades. The new documents released under the Freedom of Information Act reveal how the CIA experimented on both humans and animals using drugs, hypnosis, and electronic devices as part of the top secret and illegal mind control project MK-Ultra. And they will tell you that this project has ended. It has not. It has continued on. It's just that it's It's probably a lot more sophisticated than it was, but it still exists. Maybe it's not under the name MK Ultra, but it's the same thing. Now, shockingly, the swaths of information still missing or redacted in the records could mean the CIA is still carrying out the experiments to this day, according to experts. There you have it. Now, I've believed this all along, and I bet you have too. Those of you that are aware of this stuff are probably well aware and probably believe the same thing, that they're ongoing. I never believed they stopped. Why would they stop? One document details how the CIA planned to drug criminals awaiting trial held in prison hospital ward in a bid to develop improved techniques in drug interrogation. Excuse me. Another document details the CIA's interest in developing ways to cause amnesia in humans using experiments, no matter how weird, inconclusive, or unusual. I know they did those experiments here in Montreal by Dr. Cameron Ewan, and they were quite extensively done. The Canadian government partnering with the CIA. So some of America's dirty work was done up in Canada, but our hands were not innocent in that either. So, all right. It goes on to detail how they were looking to find ways of developing hypnotic speaking techniques, which would control the minds of large audiences and heighten group susceptibility. Now, without going too much in detail, I believe that the cult that I was once a part of, that I came out of, I do have a book that I've written about the subject, not trying to sell books. I always keep the information in the description. I'm not trying to sell books. I make very, very little on that, and that was not my intention for writing it. But I believe that those of us that were in that were experimented on in this way, looking for ways to develop hypnotic speaking techniques which control the minds of large audiences. I believe that that's what we were a part of, and no one can convince me otherwise because I know differently. Experiments which were too dangerous, too shocking, too unusual for routine testing would be of interest to us, the memo from 1956 reads. And the document details plans to drug inmates at prison hospitals, then interrogate them. You think that doesn't go on now? I do. I think that, the killer that went into the Aurora Theater, I can't remember his name right now, it's escaping me, but he was clearly drugged out of his head. That whole thing, stinks to high heavens. It really does. It's just not what we were told happened. The records also detail mind control experiments on dogs, cats, and mice with a cocktail of drugs and by implanting electronic devices, most likely as a precursor to human experiments. They also researched electric fish who can zap each other with electricity in a bid to create a super soldier who could do the same thing. The records were obtained by researcher John Greenwald Jr., who published them last week on his website, The Black Vault. John, 37, from Castaic, California, told Sun Online he's been fighting since 1999 to get the CIA to hand over the documents and say they completely rewrite the history. And says they completely rewrite the history of the controversial project. Now, in Canada, it has been declassified, and there have been people that have won lawsuits, against the government because they were experimented on. They were admitted to a psychiatric clinic or whatever, and they were experimented on, given LSD, electric shock treatments, all sorts of stuff in a bid to wipe out memory. So, yeah. What on earth is that? I'm afraid to find out. I don't think I want to know. All right, so John said, are the CIA still trying to cover up projects that took place in the 50s and 60s? In my opinion, yes. They are trying to cover it up, and that is evidenced not just by what I went through to get the documents, but the documents themselves. So you'll see through these records, they are doing a lot of different types of research with drugs on cats and dogs and other animals. They were implanting electronic devices into animals to see whether electronic impulses can essentially control the brain. Now, isn't that interesting that that's where we're at right now? Well, that's how we got there. And who knows? I bet you they did experiment on human beings. And they're discovering now that certain frequencies can control crowds, and they can literally implant thoughts in people's mind. It's called the voice of God technology. And I believe that a lot of these people that are hearing voices like, I don't know, I heard a voice, it just said kill them. And this person's the most mild-mannered person you would ever meet in your entire life. And then one day they just said, I don't know, I heard a voice. It said they all had to die, and so I just killed them. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, they could be mentally ill. They could be schizophrenic. They could be hearing voices, absolutely. But I think some of that is voice of God technology. Because it's interesting, after they kill these people, they never hear the voice again. Isn't that weird? Anyway, if you control and master that type of technology with cats and dogs, you're very close to doing that with humans. And so this is kind of a very interesting look into the beginning of days of that research. There's also one document that specifically breaks down multiple project proposals, but the majority of project names on the document are redacted. That means that whatever these projects were, they won't even tell you the name of the project, let alone what they were doing. It shows that the entire story is not yet out, which is contrary to what the CIA wants us to believe. Well, naturally. Yeah, because I think most people would be upset if we found out that they were doing experiments on people. And really, I don't even like experiments on animals. I think I don't know. I know that they have discovered a lot of things through experimentation on animals, but I don't have the stomach for it. I think it's awful. MK Ultra was the code name for a top secret and illegal program of human experiments, which the CIA carried out in the early 50s until it was officially halted in 1973. No, it wasn't. Although the CIA admitted to running the covert operation during congressional hearings in the 70s, they claimed that all records relating to it had been destroyed. Liars. John's battle for information started in 1999 when he requested the only documents relating to MK Ultra that the CIA said had not been destroyed, 30,000 pages of financial records. The CIA finally provided John with 30,000 pages on a CD-ROM in 2004, which they claimed were a full and complete set of records related to the project. Oh, I bet they weren't. The CIA finally provided John with a 30,000 page. Okay, well, I just read that. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by all this stuff over on the side. It's like, I don't know, it's like ADD or ADHD. Look, a squirrel. Look, it's shiny. It wasn't until 2016 that a fellow researcher realized a staggering 4,358 pages, which the CIA claimed were on the CD, were actually missing, and John began to fight to have the missing records released. Although the CIA initially claimed that John was wrong and fought him hard, he finally received 2 separate boxes of records in the past month. But most worrying, John said, is that there are still 1,245 pages missing, which could contain even more disturbing details. He believes the missing information may relate to top secret mind control projects, which are still taking place. Now, you and I know that. Of course, mainstream media and the people that are asleep are going to say, we're crazy, we're tinfoil hat wearers. Well, you know what? I'll wear a tinfoil hat if it makes you happy. I don't care. I don't care what they say. I know the truth. The possibilities behind the redacted information are honestly endless. We don't know what's underneath this classified material, John said. We've known for many years that MK Ultra related material was destroyed, but if you look at these documents, you realize there was a lot going on outside of MK Ultra still. Drug, mind control, and manipulation related. You begin to realize that MK Ultra may ultimately just be the tip of the iceberg. If we know X, what the heck is redacted under Y? We can't know for sure, but it's certainly scary to think about. They are redacting the information because it's absolutely a threat to national security. To tell us, could that threat be that they are still doing this research to this day? Yes, possibly. It makes sense. We know that the United States government does things that go beyond the law and go beyond the norm of what was approved. Edward Snowden had proved that phone tapping goes on, which obviously is a little bit different than mind control, but historically these intelligence agencies have been proven to be able to get away with a lot that goes against the law. Well, isn't that the truth. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all this, and it's almost over here. If you're not aware of MK Ultra and what it involves, you should really do yourself a favor and do some research. I'm sure there are some fabulous videos on YouTube that cover this. I have not done a video on this because to me it's kind of, I've known about it for so long that to me it's just, yeah, well, everybody knows that. So I don't know, but possibly everybody doesn't know that. All right, let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into here. And I can't remember what this is, but I know it's Canadian. And some of what happens here, affects all of North America. So, yes. Danielle Smith, and this is from Global News, which is headquartered in Toronto, says Danielle Smith, UN Migration Pact, part of the plan to extinguish Canadian identity. Well, it's just about succeeded, really. In the last few weeks, I've had serious conversations with colleagues about whether the federal government is going to allow me to continue using the term illegal migrants in reference to the influx of people at Roxborough Road. I'm not kidding. Now, that's because the new United Nations Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, which Canada is expected to sign in Morocco on December 10th, 11th, has a section about media education in how we talk about all migrants, including those who break the rules to come to our country. So yes, I don't know if you know this, but Canada no longer has a free press, and they are expected to sign this document in Morocco on December 10th, 11, which is the UN, the United Nations Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, and it has a portion of it assigned to the media that they are to re-educate the people. Yes, thank you, Trudeau, for re-educating me, because 3 degrees is not enough. I need you with your you are a part-time drama teacher. I need you to educate me. Please, Justin, please educate me. Tell me everything you need to know, including where you get those ridiculous socks. Anyway, I think that is important to know, that, I consider myself American. I've lived most of my life in the States, my adult life anyway, and I do plan to be coming back to the States, but it has been alarming and it has been eye-opening for me to see what has happened to my country since coming back. I came back, my mom is elderly, and my only brother passed away, and I came back for a time. And it's not quite so easy once you have left and you're a legal resident of the U.S. to get back in. So things are a little dicey there. But anyway, I want you to know that I am shocked at what I've seen here, and I'm glad that I've had this opportunity to view what's happening up here with my own eyes, because I wouldn't have believed it. I really would not have believed it. But anyway, we are not going in good places in Canada, not at all. And it would be nice if we had a Donald Trump type figure rise up in Canada too, to say enough is enough. But Canadians are a lot different than Americans, and people tend to think that the cultures are a lot alike. They're really not. In Canada, we are much more orderly. We do not protest. I doubt you would see the yellow vest thing happening in Canada. When there's a lineup of people in Canada, everybody queues up nicely, doesn't bump into anybody, isn't rude. It's a whole different culture here. You bump somebody on the street, it's, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, pardon me. And in the States, I find it's more like, get out of my way, get out of my way. It's more, and you think about it, the States was formed as a rebellion against British rule, and nothing wrong with that. But the Americans are much brasher and more forceful, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just a different culture. But anyway, let's go on. You don't need me to tell you that. All right, now let's look at this. I thought this was interesting. I thought it was actually quite funny, and let me make it a little bit bigger for you People on your phones and tablets. There we go. All right, this is a picture of the funeral, of course, and we've got number 45, POTUS, number 45. We've got number 44 here. We've got POTUS number 42 here. We've got POTUS number 39 here, and we've got POTUS nope here. Yep. 45, 44, 42, 39, nope. Nope, still not president. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And I liked this too. This is by Clinton Michael, or might be Michael Clinton. I don't know if they're doing their name backwards or not. I like that when people have two names that could be both a last name or a first name. Anyway, says Obama was like the limp-wristed guy who couldn't open a jar. Then Trump opened it, and Obama said, "I loosened it for you." It's not exactly what's going on. I thought that was so well put, so succinctly put. Very, very well put. Now this is interesting too. Anthony Scaramucci. Now where have we heard that before? The Scaramucci model. We looked at that in the last video. Anthony Scaramucci basically told a couple attending the American Priority Conference today that QAnon is real. When you find out who he is, you're not going to believe it. So he obviously knows who it is. Are we going to find out it's JFK Jr.? I'm thinking it is. I really am. And I know that sounds out there, but the more I'm looking into this JFK Jr. stuff, the more I am completely 100% convinced. And I think it's going to happen at Christmas time. And I think that's why you've got Hannity with the Tiffany color tie, all this stuff related to Tiffany's, and you had, Flotus in her beautiful, beautiful Tiffany colored gown for the inauguration, which was very reminiscent of Jacqueline Onassis, even with the gloves. Nobody wears gloves these days, but I mean, not in America anyway. And, there she was with her gloves, very, very looking and reminding me of Jacqueline Onassis, that same sense of presence. And what does she hand to the Obamas, to Michelle Obama? A Tiffany box, which she might as well have handed her a snake or a scorpion, because, Michelle Obama was horrified. Well, now I know why. They've been trolling them this whole time. And then you've got Hannity in his Tiffany colored tie saying, Tiffany blue tie saying, oh, Santa Claus is real. Yeah, well, they're trolling us, and it's going to come out around Christmas. Now, if I'm wrong, what'll I do? I don't know. I'll do something. I was going to say I don't know. I won't eat my hat because I don't wear hats. So there you go. I don't like to wear hats. It messes up my hair, and my hair's messy enough. Okay, now let's look at this. I can't remember what this is, but let's take a look. And what is this? I can't remember what this is. I don't know. I can't remember what this is or why I chose it, so let's put it aside for now. And go back to here. Get rid of that. All right. Now this says Department of the Army leaked memo. I got this off of Vote, and they do have a section there, The Great Awakening, where people discuss things that are being discussed on 8chan. And this was called Department of the Army leaked memo, and from 8chan. And it says, from the 8chan boards, I can't post on a QRV, so I thought I'd drop this here. I work for the, and we received, I don't know, there must be a word taken out of there because it just says I work for the. And we received an email with subject policy statement on the role of AMEDD personnel in legally authorized executions. On 11/29/18, the email said, please see attached memorandum signed by LTG West, the Surgeon General, policy statement on the role of AMEDD personnel. I don't know what that stands for. You guys, some of you guys that have been in the the Army or whatever may understand. Sorry, I hit the microphone there. May understand what that means. I don't know what that acronym means, and I hadn't had a chance to look it up. But anyway, personnel in legally authorized executions, please ensure a copy of this policy statement is distributed to all your commanders, facilities, directorate staff members. Bluff. This policy provides guidance on AMED personnel active participation in legally authorized execution. I have worked here for over a decade, but have never received anything like this before. Dropping it here for your info, I have attached a copy of the memorandum. Now, I'm wondering if this has been leaked on purpose. Now, let's go out and take a look at the memorandum, because to me, it looks legit, and I happen to believe that it is legit. Let's make it bigger so we can read it. And it's from the Department of the Army, Headquarters, United States Army Medical Command, 2748 Worth Road, JBSA, Fort Sam, Houston, Texas. And it's dated the 27th of November from this year, Memorandum 4, and it's coming from the Department of Defense. It's for Commanders, MedCom, Major Subordinate Commands, Deputy Chiefs of Staff, OTSG/MedCom, 1 Staff Directors, OTSG/MedCom, 1 Staff. Now, if this was made up, I wouldn't even have a clue, because I'm just not part of that. Every single occupation has its own acronyms and its own culture and everything, and I think the Army is very much that way. Army, Navy, all, everyone involved in defense. Subject, policy statement on the role of the Army Medical Department. Okay, that's what that stands for, Army Medical Department. So this is a policy statement on the role of the Army Medical Department personnel in legally authorized executions. Why would this be coming down now? Why? Right? This person's saying, never seen anything like that before. How often does the Army participate in legal executions? I wouldn't say that often, that they would need a big memorandum for it, would you? Unless they're getting ready that there's going to be a lot of them, right? An individual's opinion on capital punishment is both personal and moral. An officer, warrant officer, enlisted soldier, or civilian employee in the AMED is a member of the profession dedicated to preserving life when there is hope of doing so. Active participation in executions is irreconcilable with the foundational ethical principles of the medical profession. Accordingly, AMED personnel will not be active participants in a legally authorized execution. AMED personnel are dedicated to saving lives. They do not take them, and they should not be, nor contribute to the appearance of being associated with the machinery of death, including procurement of lethal drugs, contracting for execution services, rendering technical advice regarding execution, being a member of an execution watch team, or any activity related with executions. Where's this coming from? Medical assistance and counseling may be provided by a medical officer as requested by the prisoner. The medical assistance is limited to that which addresses the medical needs of the prisoner as a patient. This could involve relieving acute suffering of a prisoner awaiting execution by providing tranquilizing medication. This policy is consistent with American medical ethical standards. Active participation in a legally authorized execution has grave potential to injure the collective ethic of Army medicine. This could result not only in decreased self-respect among medical personnel, but also erode provider and patient confidence within Army medicine. Consequently, AMED personnel will not be active participants in legally authorized executions, except for the roles specifically prescribed by law and regulation. So this memo has come down and basically said, it's not really conducive to our mandate to preserve life to participate in executions. or procuring execution drugs or giving advice on executions or anything else. What we can do is we can be there for the prisoner if they have pain before their execution, if they're upset or whatever, to render medical aid to that person. But what they're saying is that it's not going to be the Army personnel, the medical personnel that performs these executions. Now, why would they need? I mean, don't you think you would just? I mean, if I was in the Army medical, I would think that would be a given that I would not be participating in executions. So why do you need a memo for that? Obviously, this is an issue. They're obviously discussing that, whether they're going to be used in that capacity. And this is to let them know, no, you're going to be there because they might have medical needs before they're executed, but you're not going to be participating in the execution. What do you guys think of this? I happen to believe this could be real. Now, if you've got a reason to believe that it's not, then put it in the comments below, because I am more than willing to be corrected. And I just want the truth out there. And if it comes from me, fine. If it comes from you, fine. I don't care, as long as we get the truth. So if you have a reason that this is totally fake, or that you don't believe that it's real, aside from shills who are very, very transparent and just get deleted, then please let me know. So that's that, and that's a little bit disconcerting. I mean, it is to me, because I know that this is coming, but I'm just wanting, I guess, and I know that not everybody agrees with me. I just want to be sure that all these people get their due process. Okay, that's it. I want to make sure, yes, they need to be held accountable, but they also deserve due process as American citizens. So I'm just saying, you know, we know that some of these people are guilty. We know that, but I think that there's a whole lot of people involved here. I mean, there's 60,000 indictments. All of those people are not going to be put to death, but we don't know how many people are on the list that will be executed. So, and may God have mercy on them, on their soul. But anyway, let's go back to here. And I thought this was interesting. This person is a reporter for, I believe, the New York Times. And this is what they said. They sent out this weird cryptic tweet that said Q. Now somebody called them, well, no, she caught her own thing, and maybe she got flack for it, because here she says, sorry guys, just another pocket tweet on a phone that refuses to lock properly. Time for a new phone. What are the chances? Oh, it wasn't just a Q, it was a capital Q. You know, you got to hit the shift, and then, you know, I mean, it could be, but it's improbable. So, don't know what that was about, but it was interesting. And I also liked this. This is from a while ago. I've been meaning to show it to you guys, and maybe I already did, because, you know, my memories, I don't know. But here's Kaepernick. He said, I'm kneeling to protest injustice against black men in America. And here's, what is Charlie Brown? Gosh, it just escaped me. I was thinking Peanuts. No, it's Charlie Brown. That's odd. You joined a religion that still owns black slaves, and you don't protest against that? Yeah, lots of hypocrisy on the left, isn't there? Lots and lots and lots. And what is this? It says it's important. So perhaps we should watch this. Oh, yes. That's about, we've already looked at that. That is about George Bush. And I think for now, this might be it. Let me go up and make sure I haven't missed anything that I wanted to bring to you guys. I don't think so. I think that's it. Now, there's lots more, but I just kind of picked out the things that I thought I really needed to tell you. And that's going to be it for tonight's videos. I probably am going to be doing 2 videos tomorrow, especially if Q posts. I will definitely be doing 2 videos if Q posts. But otherwise, I will be back with Q-related news or other good stuff. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. You cheer me up. You have written the most kind things and just really have been an encouragement to me for real. And those of you that have bought coffee or become Patreon, I really appreciate it more than you can possibly know. And I really believe, I say this often and I mean it, I think I have the best listeners on YouTube. I really do. Because for the most part, you all get along and are very nice to one another in the comments. And it's just really nice to see. So that's it for tonight. You guys have a great night. Sleep well, stay safe, and stay blessed. And I'll talk to you guys soon.